let's talk about Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics, who, of course, did not get the nod when Kawhi Leonard bowed out of the Team USA basketball. And Jalen Brunson is convinced.
Jaylen Brown.
But Jaylen Brown.
A lot of
I know.
Big Jalen show today.
Jaylen Brown is convinced that Nike has something to do with it. And so he doubled down today. You got something?
Yeah, so he tweets, at Nike, is this what we're doing? Insinuating that Nike is in control of Team USA. Then he doubled down with, the monocle emoji, which I don't speak fluent emoji, but apparently that is the one when you're searching for a reason or an answer. And then Cam Newton asked him yesterday at the ESPYs why he wasn't with Team USA, and he said, I don't have any comment on that. I'm with my beautiful date. He was with the Gondry's sister who just got waved from the sky not too long ago from the WNBA, who is a gorgeous woman. So
that was it.
He's doing well for himself, I'd say.
Yes, in the women department, but I think he's a little verklempt that he's not on the Olympic team.
He is upset, but hey, you can be upset all you want about it, but to me, they made a change in the way that they are valuing the roster in Team USA. It's not the same as it used to be in the past, where you go and you get invited to the tryout, and then out of that tryout, the best 12 players make it. It's people they give precedent and give priority to people who have participated in Team USA in the past few years, right, at the different World Cups and summer by summer. These teams are playing internationally. And that's why, in my opinion, Derrick White got the nod, because Jaylen Brown hasn't been on Team USA since 2019. While invited to the pool and all that other stuff, he didn't participate since 2019.
Yeah, I disagree. I'm with Jaylen Brown. I think that this has a lot to do with his criticism of Nike. And Nike runs this, whether people want to believe it or not. I think all but 4 players are Nike representatives. The other 4 do not wear Nike, and we get it. And I think that there's something to it, because he would be replacing Kawhi Leonard, who he could easily replace and be that kind of player. If there was a player like Derrick White who does all the stuff that they're talking about they want on the team, and that was the guy that went down, then Derrick White would make total sense as a replacement. In this case, Jaylen Brown just won the NBA championship with the Celtics, just won the finals MVP, and he doesn't have a right to turn it down or be offered it. That's where I have an issue. Like, there's a lot of politics, Martin, and you got to admit this. Whether or not, I don't have any evidence in front of me, but will you agree that politics does play a role in sports on a lot of levels?
Sure.
And
not politics in the traditional sense, but
no. The politics of dealing with people. You know what? That's what when we talk about the politics, not political parties. And I think some of his criticism of Nike and the stuff that they've done and the tweets and stuff that he's put out and whatnot against Nike, I do believe that it's not the kind of guy that maybe they want to have out there and put on that platform as a guy. And Chris even talked about this the other day. He's always surprised that he covers up the Nike swoosh, Martin, right, on his sneakers, but he does still wear them. And I don't know if that's just comfort or feeling comfortable in them, you know what I mean, or something like that, where it's just not another sneaker that he can wear. But if I'm Nike, I'm definitely not trying to enhance anybody who is covering up the Nike swoosh.
I mean, but there are several non-Nike. There's out of the 12 players on the team, Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Halliburton, LeBron James, and Tatum are Nike athletes. So over half of the team, but just by one, right? So there's 6 other athletes on the team that aren't Nikes. 2 of them are starters in Embiid. Embiid is Under Armour. Steph's Under Armour. Anthony Edwards is Adidas. He just signed a massive Adidas deal to be the face of that basketball operation. So I think the Nike angle, it's a little bit overblown in my opinion. I think the roster was flawed in the first place. I don't know what Kawhi was ever doing there. And I think when you watched the
if Kawhi was healthy, then that roster would have been on that roster, and they still would have a chance to win, whether it's Kawhi or not.
Well, let's be clear.
So Derrick White is not going to be the reason why they win or lose.
Yeah, but
are you right with that?
But let's be clear.
No, let me ask you that.
They could have just sent Kawhi home and brought nobody back, and they're still going to win the gold medal.
So what's the difference between Derrick White on that team and rewarding Jaylen Brown, who was the Finals MVP and just won a championship? What is the difference?
The difference is Derrick White played for Team USA in the last 3 years. That's the difference.
That could be the reason why you don't have to bring him. You could Jaylen Brown.
No, that's why you bring him, because he played for Team USA for the last 3 years.
Jaylen Brown just elevated everything about him by winning a Finals MVP. Those are the players you usually want to reward and celebrate. The reason Kawhi was on it is because Kawhi had never played for Team USA, and they wanted to give Kawhi that opportunity. That's all I'm saying. Derrick White is not going to be the reason for anything. So what is the difference whether you bring him or Jaylen Brown?
Neither would Jaylen Brown.
That's why, of course, if you're Nike, a guy who's covering up your swoosh, that's the guy you want to bring in? No, I don't think so. I think you're downplaying the importance and the clout that Nike has. I think Nike has way more clout than Under Armour and Adidas and those companies.
Well, they didn't use none of that clout to keep those guys off the team.
They can't keep everybody off. Now, let's be realistic now.
So they just, Jaylen Brown, you're the one.
No, he's the one tweeting and ripping on Nike. Give me the other quotes from Steph ripping on Nike. Do you have them?
No, they don't exist.
You don't have them. Yeah, they don't. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, none of the other guys are ripping on Nike, but I don't think that's why Jaylen Brown's not on the U.S. team. I don't think that. I think that if Jaylen Brown...
So what is the reason? If Derrick White doesn't matter if they're going to win or lose, I'm asking you, Martin, you're saying doesn't make sense.
No, because your argument is he just won the Finals MVP. You know what the reward for that is? The ring. He just won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. No. The ring. That's the reward for that. That's the reward for that. The Finals MVP, it's the same argument as to why Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese aren't on the women's team, because they weren't practicing with the women's team. They didn't participate with the women's team in past summers. It's, I get it. It fits a little tin hat theory to be like.
So when was Kawhi? This is Kawhi's first go round.
It is Kawhi's first go round.
So what's the difference? I don't even understand
Kawhi was
what that
invited
means.
to the first part. I wouldn't have brought him.
Because they were trying to celebrate Kawhi for what a great player he's been in the NBA. He's won 2 Finals MVPs and 2 championships.
Well, I think that's a dumb reason to build an Olympic team.
All
You're going
right,
to try to celebrate for how somebody is in the NBA.
But he was already on the team. But he was already on the team.
There's rewards for how good you are in the NBA.
They're called MVP.
They're called comeback player of the year.
They're
called championships. That's how the reward for how good you are in the NBA.
Derrick White makes no difference. This is what they call a slight. It was a slight of Jaylen Brown. As I said the other day, he was pimp slapped by the Team USA. That's what it is. There's no reason this guy shouldn't be on the team. He's one of the best players. He makes $70 million. He makes 70. He's considered one of the best players in the league, and they got a spot open because Kawhi can't make it. Let's go get reserve Derrick White. Let's go put him on the Olympic team.
Derrick White has not been a reserve since he got drafted, but that's neither here nor there. Derrick White's a better fit for this team. Derrick White's not going to play a ton of minutes when things get down to it, but if he did, the only guard out there that's a really great defender besides Anthony Edwards, Drew Holiday in the starting lineup and Anthony Edwards are the two.
Can Jaylen Brown defend?
They are the 2 guard defenders. When you look at these teams, who's going to stay in front of Jamal Murray? Would you like Jaylen Brown to do that or Derrick White to do that? Because Derrick White was the guy who was staying in front of Kyrie Irving.
Is Derrick White going to be the reason you win?
Jaylen Brown wasn't going to be the reason they won. Kawhi Leonard wasn't going to be the reason they won.
So if that's the case, then you should celebrate the player.
That's got nothing to do with anything.
Yes, it does. You should celebrate the player that's had a higher standard in the league, that's a star of the league.
They got rewards for that already. They already got rewards for that, and he got 2 on his right finger right now.
There were 3 Celtics on there, right, on the team. How many Celtics are there?
There are 3 now.
And Jaylen Brown isn't one of them? That's a slap in the face.
Look, he can feel like it's a slap in the face all he wants, but it's a logical reasoning.
Martin,
I know it's fun to be like, oh, it's all Nike's fault because he covers up his swoosh, or he's got this thought and this thought and that thought. Well,
you don't think that factors in at all? I'm just asking you, if you owned a business, and the guy that you have a chance to either put on a team or not put on a team is ripping your company, don't tell me that wouldn't factor in whether or not you would have that guy on the team.
Who owns Team USA?
That's not what I'm asking.
But that's what you're saying.
No, I'm asking you.
Yeah, if it was NBA free agency and Jaylen Brown was trashing the Houston Rockets for the whole time, I don't imagine that the Houston Rockets would go and try to sign him up. Who owns Team USA?
If you had clout in the selection, okay? And don't act like these things don't happen because Isaiah Thomas didn't make the Dream Team.
He didn't make the Dream Team because Jordan didn't want him on the Dream Team.
And so he had clout. He had clout.
But what's that got to do with Nike or Under Armour or Reebok or whatever?
Nike has that kind of clout with Team USA. Most people believe that.
So Team USA would have said, you know what? If you put Jaylen Brown on this roster, we're pulling our athletes back. All right, cool. Got it.
No, that's not it. They wouldn't have put him on because they didn't want to look at the guy who has covered up their swoosh and has ripped their company.
When you watch that scrimmage, that team needs another defensive guard. It would have needed another defensive guard if Kawhi Leonard was on the roster and was healthy and was 100%. They still would have needed another defensive guard.
If he was healthy, they wouldn't even think about no Derrick White. They would have said, oh, we need to swap out Kawhi, even though he's healthy, for Derrick White because we need that. Are you kidding me? Stop. That's not what went on here. They decided to slight Jaylen Brown, and he has a right to be.
He could be upset if he wants, but it's very logical. It's a very, very logical explanation as to why it happened.